Welcome to Think Big with Michael Zellner podcast, sponsored by Sleepy Z's Masonry. My guest today for episode 171 is Ephraim Urevbu. Ephraim is originally from Nigeria and has lived in Memphis now, I would say, for about 35 years. He is a founding member of the South Main Arts District. He is C.O.O. of Urevbu Foundation, the owner of EU Enterprises, and for almost 33 years, an artist with Urevbu Contemporary at 410 South Main Street in downtown Memphis. Thanks for joining me today, Ephraim.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about being raised in Nigeria, and you were raised by a single mother, and you were one of 8 children. About that
Yes.
experience in your family.
Yes. So I was raised by a single mother, as you said, which is very unusual because of how the family structure is in Africa. We have the man and we have the woman and everybody else underneath that. Well, my dad was married to more than one wife. And so my mom left my dad while she was still pregnant with me without she knowing that she was pregnant. And she was the type of woman who broke every rule in the book. It's not normal for a woman to leave a marriage and take the children with her.
Sure.
Because all the kids belong to the man. So if there's a divorce, anything, the woman just leaves, which is tradition.
Wow.
But in this case, my mom left and took all the kids with her.
Wow.
And so that's abnormal. However, I was born and raised with her and my other siblings, but it was very, very difficult because she had to learn to support us.
Right.
And so she moved us back to where my grandmother lived, and together these two women worked so hard to put food on the table and roof over our head. So it was a tough upbringing.
Yeah.
But the one thing my mom always stressed was education. My mom couldn't read, she couldn't write. But there was one thing she knew, and that was she wanted all of her kids to be well educated. And so we strived for that. And given the fact that we didn't have the distractions that kids today have, we didn't have the computers, we didn't have technology, we didn't have the cell phones, our entertainment was books. So we competed with each other who read the most books,
I like
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
And so doing that got us, the children, into high schools and colleges of colleges with high, what's the word I'm looking for? Well-known colleges in the country.
Sure.
Elite colleges, let me put it that way.
Okay.
And I happen to have gone to one of those such elite colleges. There were just 3 of them that were formed in partnership with the United States and British government. And these 3 schools were, quote unquote, to support or raise the next generation of leaders for the country. Nigeria is a diverse cultural place. So we have various ethnic groups, and we speak over 270 different dialects across the country. And when people say, "Oh, you're Nigerian," "Oh, I have a Nigerian friend over here. You must know him." No, so diverse, right?
Yeah.
So because of that diversity, these schools were created to support knowledge. That means they wanted us to mix and learn the various cultures that exist so that if we happen to be in a position of leadership, we understood the dynamics that was Nigeria. Okay. So I happened to have gained admission into one of those schools, and that was my saving grace because everything was paid for. We were pampered. We were taught by expatriates from various countries. For example, my English teacher was from England. My French teacher was from France. My geography teacher was from Germany or so. My math teacher uh, was from India. So I had a diverse,
Sure.
and the principal of my school was a Second World War white English military veteran.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're talking about discipline. We were
Yeah.
disciplined, right?
Yeah.
So with that background, uh, the expectation was high. That is, in Nigeria, there are only three professions that Nigerians strive for. Anything outside of those three professions, you're a failure. One is to be a medical doctor. So if you look at the number of doctors in Memphis, I can guarantee you the number of Nigerian physicians here are very high. And then two, you have to be a lawyer. Or if you can be either one of those, you must become an engineer. Anything outside of those three, you're a failure. And they will
Right.
make it known to you that you're a failure. Okay.
Right.
And then I decided, I had the audacity to say, I wanted to be an artist. That was a no-no. And the pushback was, how can you go to this beautiful elite school with everything you've been given, and then you want to come out and become what? How to draw? You want to learn how to draw? you know, but from 7 years old, I knew I had something very unique. I discovered that I was happiest the days I have art classes.
Nice.
I discovered that when I'm in the studio, I'm in a zone. And my work was put into international competition very young, and I won a lot of international awards from Europe. But I hid all of this from my parents because I never wanted to let them know where my interest lied.
Right.
And so when I finished college, I said, okay, they said, okay, what med school do you want to go to? So I had scholarship to med school. I had scholarship to art school. Okay. But I didn't tell them I had scholarship to art school. So I went to med school for 1 semester. My first sight of blood was my last day in med school. Granted, my mom couldn't read. So I switched from med school to art school. And she
Wow.
didn't know I had done that because I would come home, so high school, go, everything is fine. I'd be in my room drawing. She goes, is this part of your, so yeah, we draw, so, human body to study. But I was in art school
What an awesome story. I love that. It's so funny.
until she discovered I had moved from where I grew up to Lagos, which was then the capital of Nigeria. And so she hadn't seen me for a long time. And she was of the impression that I was in school. Then she saw me on national TV doing caricature for children's program. And she goes, how is that? Is that part of the med school med school things you do? No. My sister eventually told him, your son is an artist.
That's so funny.
And you could see the disappointment in her face. I mean, the pushback was was painful. Okay. I mean, every person that knew me came to try to talk to me because they felt like I had lost my mind.
Right.
You need to do better. You can't go to this great school and come out and want to do this. What do you want to become? A bomb? Don't you see what artists look like out there? They got no life, so,
Sure.
but I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So in order to escape all of that, I ran away from home. Running away meant leaving the country. and leaving the country, not just to go to a place where I felt they can come and visit in a short flight. I wanted to go as far away as possible. And America was the farthest I could go to from Nigeria. And that's how I landed in Memphis, Tennessee.
So 270 different dialects, and now you're in Memphis. Now, is one of those dialects Southern? Do you use the word y'all?
Yeah, I've been practicing that language for quite a long time.
Okay,
And
good.
I've become great at it. Depends on whom I'm talking with. I can really go Southern on you. Okay.
I like that. Oh my God, what a great story. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said, quote, like my art, my story is a manifestation of my life's calling and God's divine purpose, unquote. What does that mean to you?
Well, when I look back at my life, when I look back how young I was and how I was able to withstand the onslaught of a choice of career, you don't say no to your parents to begin with,
Right.
not in my culture. When I look back and see how all that happened, it could only have been divine intervention. When I look back on how I got to this country, because when I decided to come, I didn't ask anybody for money. I had to work 3 jobs
Wow.
trying to raise the capital to pay a year's tuition at the Memphis College of Art, which I had applied to. I had to pay for a round trip ticket. I had to get my own passport, visa application, all that I did on my own because I knew that I was going to an art school and I knew everybody was against that. And besides, my parents didn't have the kind of money. My mom was a struggling mother.
Right.
So she didn't have anything anyhow that I could ask her for. So when I look back at how all of that came together, it can only have been divine intervention. That's one. Then coming down here to have the kind of culture shock and to experience racism and to try to navigate through that and to have survived it also could only have happened with a divine intervention.
Right.
So when I look back at my career today, at what I'm doing, and how I planted a flag in a place where the history of this city focuses attention on, where Martin Luther King was shot and killed, that corner that I had the ability or the opportunity to purchase the buildings there at a time when nobody was looking at that area could only have happened by divine intervention. And then when I look at the project that I'm undertaking right now, the Naked Truth Art Project, and how I've taken the history, dug up all these stories that made America a great country, although Americans are trying to cover it up. But these stories are what made this country great because it tells about the vulnerable, how vulnerable we are as a human race, and how we can take our history, learn from those mistakes we made, and be a better human being or a better society. When I look at all of that and think of why me, how is it that I was able to be placed in this place in the right time to be doing what I'm doing today, could only have happened by divine intervention. And when I look at all the resources, all the money that have gone into this project, and starting with zero money and everything coming together and being able to thrive could only have happened by divine intervention. And that's what I meant by that statement.
I 100% believe in divine intervention myself. And I've had many instances, different things that have happened that I know have been divine intervention too in my life. Do you remember? I think it was somewhere around 1980 when you came here. How much was that plane ticket back then?
Oh, back then, I think I must have paid about $600 round trip.
I can't even imagine how much it is now.
Oh, now it's about 1900. Not too
Wow.
bad.
Yeah.
And there was no carrier, no airline flying US, Africa. We had to go through Europe to come here, So yeah.
Interesting. What inspired you to focus your efforts on community development in Memphis? And how has the city's unique cultural landscape influence your work?
When I came here, the one reason I picked Memphis, one, the school, the Memphis College of Art, was a very well-known school then. And I did my research. I like what I saw. The second thing that really brought me here was the river. The Mississippi River, which is the second longest river in the world, I forgot, whatever that is. And all the cities we studied in geography were along this river. Okay. So my curious mind was, I'm going to eventually see this big river that I studied as a kid in high school, right?
Right.
So I was excited about that. And then when I got here, I was disappointed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because everything along the Mississippi River was dilapidated, boarded up. And I held my head. I said, God, if only these people know what they have.
Right.
Because if you go to Europe, all the big developments are along the most interesting rivers in that continent. You know what I'm saying? Those are prime land. And I saw that. I saw how Memphis hasn't really taken advantage of what it had. I also noticed that Memphis was so centrally located in the country that you could get from here to New York in 2 hours or less.
Right.
You could get to Miami in 2 hours or less. You could get to LA in 3 hours or less. So you think about the strategic positioning of Memphis. There's absolutely no reason why all the airlines should be knocking the walls down to put their hubs here. One, you have the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
One, the climate in this city is God sent. We hardly have the bad weathers you hear that goes on in Kansas, in Texas, in Florida, all the tornadoes and all the hurricanes, the earthquakes. It's a stable climate city. Okay. But you have so much young people that you can draw or you can inspire to become whatever you want to be. So the city has all these advantages. And that was the driving thing for me to start, sharing with people what is possible. I see it, but I had to convince people this is possible. So the first thing I did was I put together a proposal first for the airport. When I landed in Memphis, they used to display cars at the airport. And Memphis was striving to be an international airport. The first thing I said, this isn't going to do it. Are you selling cars at the airport or you display? What is it that we're doing with these cars here? All right.
Right.
1991, I put a proposal together for the airport authority to start to bring some artworks into the airport because there's so much rich history in this city and a lot of gifted artists are working in this city, that why not showcase this city in that light from the cultural lens. So I put that proposal in 91. It was not enacted until 2000, I think 2009, but I persisted. Then they allowed me to put the first few pieces of artwork at the airport. I went but they gave me conditions. You got to frame them. You got to be Memphis music and all that. But that's what I've been telling you all this time, right?
Right.
Eventually did that, went to other artists, got their work, framed them all, and put them in the airport. And that is the start of what you now see happening at the airport. Okay. Then also I made a proposal for the city to create what I now call the South Main Arts District. The South Main Art District was dilapidated. I mean, you don't go down there, you know? So, but I bought 3 buildings there at little or nothing. I didn't have money, but I bought 3 buildings. And so I started renovating the places. I put my studio in there. And then I made a proposal to friends who own restaurants. I said, guys, you need to come to South Main, bring some restaurants here. And everybody looked at me to say, you crazy. The numbers are not there. Nobody goes to South Main, okay? So I opened a restaurant called Zanzibar. I had no background about restaurant, know nothing about restaurant. I just had the space. I got some few people together. I said, hey, we started as a coffee shop. Then it became a restaurant. Then the rest is history. Zanzibar became so popular that New York Times did a story on us. And people were coming from New York looking for Zanzibar. And my jingle at that time was, welcome to Zanzibar, an island oasis in the middle of nowhere.
I love that.
And yeah, and people came from Chicago. The Chicago Tribune did a story too. And one of the connecting stories between these 2 newspapers was, on a typical day or night at Zanzibar is like being in the United Nations because it was so diverse. We had St. Jude doctors who come from various corners of the globe come down to Zanzibar. I started the salsa, which is now Rumble Room on South Main. It started from Zanzibar, okay? And Morgan Freeman was looking for a place to do his 15th year wedding anniversary, and he decided to pick Zanzibar. Granted, nothing was happening in this place.
Right.
So when he came to do his birthday party there, all these limousine cars were packed all over because he had dignitaries from all over the world came to celebrate with him. That was the beginning of the art district. Okay. The trolley art tour that we organize the last Friday of every month, we have the trolley art tour. People come from all over to party and hang out on South Main. That was my proposal. So this ignited that movement. And you know what South Main is like now. I can't even afford my building if I had to buy it at today's market value.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So those are the things I saw what was possible. And again, I say divine. It is not by chance that I was placed in that space. It's not by chance that all the things I was doing happened. It was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so fast forward, we're now working on a new part of town, which is called Smoky City, which is the Jackson, Dunlap, North Memphis area. Again, run down, dilapidated, but 2 blocks away from St. Jude. And I see a great possibility. Now, what happened at South Main was When we started the development, things really started happening, you have the big developers, and big money came in, and the rest is history. A lot of the artists couldn't afford their buildings anymore. The rent just skyrocketed. And at the height of it all, I think we had close to 12 to 13 galleries on South Main.
Yeah.
We had a lot of artists there. And because they couldn't afford, a lot of the artists left. But we were able to secure, because of what happened, Art Space, which now has a building on South Main, came into existence because of what we started with the art movement on South Main. Art Space is a non-profit organization, and they build work and living spaces, affordable work and living spaces for artists. And they identified Memphis a long time ago that it's an art destiny city. There are a lot of creative people here. Just that a lot of them don't have the space to really perfect their art, you know.
Right.
So our next move is to develop a section of town, which is the Smoky City area, dilapidated, and turn it into what we call Memphis Creative Art Zone, where we bring everything art, from music to dance to theater to visual to photography, mention it, everything art, but create a space where artists can actually live, work, and collaborate. Okay. And it should be a tax-free zone, and zone specifically for this kind of project. So I'm meeting with the mayor on Thursday to discuss this, to see how we can get this rolling. Again, everything I've done starts with a vision, and then I go and sell the vision and try get partners for them.
Very smart.
So yeah, but what we've done with this is, just like I did on South Main, we've invested in this neighborhood. So we acquired a 7,000 square feet building, an old building that was built in 1916, and we repurposing it for what we call an art incubator. Upstairs is going to be residential, where we bring in artists now, not just from local artists anymore, but global, because my project is actually a global project.
Yeah.
How can we use art to begin to address the problems of the world? Believe it, artists have the solution. If governments are smart, if our leaders are smart, they will create a creative department in every office in the land and bring in artists, and they tell the artist what the problem is. I guarantee you they will have the solution for them.
Yeah, because our
I
government
ain't kidding you.
our
I'm
government
not,
sure doesn't.
I'm not kidding you,
I
okay?
believe you.
You know,
I believe you.
because I've seen it happen. If you've been to Miami?
Yes.
Okay. There's a place in Miami called Wynwood, Wynwood. This part of town, I used to go to Miami years ago doing art shows when I was traveling a lot. But this was part of town where nobody went to after hours. They discourage you, don't go there. It was drug infested, prostitutes, and crime infested. Until one artist saw the vision and decided to use the arts and created the new destination for Miami. It's no longer South Beach. It's the Wynwood Arts District. All the big names are there. All the movies that I shot, the music videos that I shot, mostly are done there. Okay. And it has attracted, made Miami rather, the art capital of the world, because once a year, Miami displays Art Week. Art Week in Miami is sold. If you don't get accommodation. You don't reserve your hotel months ahead. You can't get a place in Miami between the first week of December and the weekend, the first week of December. You can get anything. That's Art Week in Miami. They use the art so well to build neighborhoods. Okay. I have an idea of how we can do that in Memphis. Look at where we're located. We're smack in the middle of the tri-state area. We have
Right.
Arkansas. We have Mississippi. We have Missouri. We have Georgia. I mean, think about it. If we can create a destination like they did in Wynwood, this place will be the Mecca that will attract people from all this little community to come and be something. Memphis will become the New York of the Mid-South. That's what I see.
Yeah, you
Okay?
definitely think big.
Oh, I do. With
Yeah.
no money.
Yeah. I've been there before too, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the vision. But
Yeah.
fortunately, we've been able to invest in this space. We've poured in almost $1 million in this place. And just to share with the city that we're serious about what we're about to do, we just need them to see what we see and be willing to partner with us to do that.
I had Mayor Young on my podcast last fall. Really nice guy. One of the girls I went to high school with worked with him when he was at the downtown commission, and she wanted me to have him on, so I brought him on right before the election. And
Okay.
and then I actually in June he was I'm on the board of directors of Heal the Hood Foundation, and we had a celebrity all-star basketball game at my alma mater, which is Ridgeway High School.
Okay.
And it was Team City against Team County, Mayor Harris's team against Mayor Young's team, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, really nice guy. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you'll enjoy. If you haven't met him, you'll enjoy that. It's a nice guy.
Okay.
You said, "quote I mentor young and up and coming artists from undeveloped countries, exposing them to the endless possibilities of art. I teach art to the underprivileged in my art gallery studio." Unquote. I can't imagine how good that must not only feel for all of them, but it has to, make you feel really good too, doing that for those people. Share with us, if you would, maybe an experience or two over the years where you've been able to help others, create and see their own vision too.
I'm going to turn the camera, right?
Okay.
See this guy there?
Yes.
I've been working with him for a year, about a year. This kid is 21 years old. Just finished college. His passion matches my passion. He sees everything I see, but he brings a new lens or a new set of eyes to the vision because he's young. It's his generation.
Right.
They got technology, right?
Right.
They can use that phone to connect with anywhere, any person, anywhere in the world, just like that. I don't have the time for that.
Right.
I'm too old for that. I'm not going to learn anything more than I've already known. So what better way to assist them to do what they enjoy doing, but implanting in them that everything in life is about purpose. Everything in life is about your calling, your gift. So my role is to help them identify their gifts and to help them refocus their gifts or match their gift with their purpose and then send them on their way.
Nice.
Is the most fulfilling thing you can ever imagine. When you see the light bulb goes off on their head, especially with this kid here, it's like that, okay? And we go in places. I'm going to be taking him to Africa at the end of this year
Oh, so
because
cool.
I've connected him with young people in the continent
Yeah.
also, whom I'm going to be bringing over here to connect with kids here, because a lot of people in this city, young, old, don't travel much.
Yeah, that's right.
And
You're looking at one.
and life's experiences is beyond the four corners of this city. I mean, when you really go out there and see what's in the world, man, it opens your eyes to the immense possibility there is. We are, as human beings, not created to be stationary, because nothing is stationary. Things are constantly on the move, and we have to be constantly on the move,
Right.
connecting with people that we may not even like, because you could learn one or two good things from them, and vice versa. So I'm open to everything possible, because as human beings, there is something in us that says that we can't go it alone. For you to be successful, you have to be able to go it along with others.
Absolutely.
Okay? And so working with these kids, I'm learning a lot from them. They're making me look and feel younger every day. And I'm making them look and feel older every day.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it is something to behold.
That's
And I'm
really
really
neat.
looking forward. And talking about technology, because of them too, I had always thought, how do I get my message to them? Most of them don't go to galleries. They care less about that. But they are so good with their TikTok and WhatsApp and all this crazy, thing they do
Yeah.
on phone. And I had to get to know those things. But how do I do it? But bring them in. So one thing we did well was we took some of the works we're doing and created tiles from them. And we embedded technology into these tiles and we laid them on the sidewalks all along South Main. So as you walk along, you scan those tiles, all these stories I'm telling you will be on your phone. And you can read them in your own time, in your own place. And guess what? People share them, you know, and that's the beauty of working with young people.
It's amazing when I think about it. Eli wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. I mean,
When he told me that, I felt so old,
I know. Now I am, and I thought he was older than that. Not just because the way he looked, just because the way he presents himself.
Exactly.
Over the phone or through email.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was between 25 and 30. Is what I
No.
thought. Yeah, and so you tell me that, and I'm thinking to myself, wow. I mean, and starting at that age is gives them such a head start. And you
Yep.
and I, we're about a generation apart, but you're a 70s kid, I'm an 80s and 90s kid, but I mean, when I tell people that we grew up without young people, no
Mhm.
cell phones, no car phones. I mean, no beepers. That all those things that started first. That it was, you had to call somebody on our home phone if you want to go out or go. We went out places. I mean, no computers. I remember seeing computers for the first time in high school, walking by this classroom, seeing these big, remember the big computers.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
remember walking by and saying, oh man, I'm never going to need one of those. And thank goodness in my
Yeah.
senior year, I took, and I don't say this to brag at all. I only did this because I needed to raise my GPA. I took AP English, AP American History, AP Chemistry, Spanish 4, and typing. Now,
Wow.
thank goodness I took typing. That's the
Typing.
only thing I used from all that there. Because, and it wasn't until about 15 years later, where I got on a computer for the first time, and of course, you know how muscle memory comes right back to you. But I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I'm sure glad I go typing so I don't sit there and peck on the computer. But the things that we did, and going to places and going to malls and arcade things that kids today are like, what? If I want to play a game, video game, I play it on my phone or my
Exactly.
computer. Yeah, and everything's over the phone, and their heads are buried in them. And
Exactly.
And now, even when you go to a scene, if it's a crime scene, people don't even want to help as much. Now they're picking up their phone to videotape it.
Exactly.
It's unreal.
I'm telling you, what a world,
I know. It's just crazy. So yeah, it's a different generation. And yeah, just when you think about people that were not, when you say 9/11, and I know you remember where you were, I remember
yes.
where I was.
Oh,
It's just like, my mom was in Dallas in 1963 when John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh, sure. Okay.
She was working there at the time.
Wow.
And and I fully believe, not get into anything, but I fully believe that John F. Kennedy, his brother Bobby Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. were all assassinated because they are three people who wanted peace in this world, where most of the time, most people don't want peace. They want wars, because wars is money.
It's money. Yeah.
They wanted peace, and they were a threat to the people who wanted peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they were three great Americans
Right.
who wanted peace, and the world, the country couldn't stand for that.
Yes.
But yeah, but it's talking about people remembering where they were. And now I know that, him sitting across from you wasn't even born on 9/11. I'm like,
I know.
oh my God, that's just crazy.
Know.
That's just crazy. Can you describe a specific project or initiative in Memphis that you believe has had a transformative impact on the community? And, maybe what were some of the challenges faced during its implementation?
Well, I mentioned the South Main Arts District.
Right.
That really had a lot of impact in the community. I mean, that was the march that lit the fire for the development of downtown. Okay. And we see what's happening in downtown right now, the energy, all of that. It started with that. Okay. And the challenges were tough because people don't like change, man.
Not at all. Exactly.
Just to sell the idea of change, let's think outside the box. Let's look at this thing differently. It's a challenge. I used to be on the board of so many nonprofit in this city. I was on the board of the Children's Heart Foundation. I was on board of the YMCA. Okay. And I take the YMCA, for example. Was it the YMCA? They used to have the barbecue fest, a barbecue fundraising event.
Yeah.
To raise money for that organization. And they had their downtown office right by that high school. Where's that high school that a lot of these leaders went to downtown? It's coming to me. Where's that high school? Right there downtown, the corner of Danny Thomas, Booker T,
Washington. Yeah.
Yeah. So the YMCA I was affiliated with was across from there. And so they invited me to come and be on their board. A friend of mine who has seen what I did with the South Main, he said, yeah, come, I want you to be on this board. And they invited me. I went to their meeting and I took a look around the whole place. And what I observed was we were just babysitting these kids. They needed a place for the kids to come to after school hours, where they won't get into trouble, because they're at work and all of that, which is good.
Absolutely.
But while they were there, that was the opportunity to really build characters. But instead, I saw a lot of companies donated computers. So these kids come and they play on their computers and all of that. So I made a proposal. I said, what if, because they had the whole basement of that building, nothing was happening there. They had these lockers already there. So I made a proposal. I said, what if we create an art studio where kids who are interested in photography, kids who want to paint, kids who are interested in framing and all of those, we could teach them there and actually teach them a trade or a profession, something they can be proud of, that they can, when they live here, they have something of substance they can really connect with.
Right.
Okay. I did that proposal. I thought it made sense, right?
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
The first thing, the first blowback, who is going to be teaching them? How are we going to get funding for this? You know, I figured all this was going to come up. So I went to the Memphis College of Art and talked with them about having white kids, because the college was predominantly white kids, right?
Right.
Who have no connection with the inner city, right?
Right.
What an opportunity to bring them into the inner city in a safe space to connect.
Absolutely.
And learn and help teach these kids the arts. Okay, that was done. I went to Memphis housing and development chair, who was his name then, and I told him I want them to help us build those locker rooms downstairs, bring easels and give us new plumbing for artists to wash their brushes. I wanted to create a space where they can come and paint, and also create a space where we can teach them how to frame, present their work. And we can actually now add another fundraising event to what they already do by having these artists bring their work to my gallery on the last Friday of every month, well-dressed, stand in front of their paintings, explain their work to people who come in and sell their pieces, and help raise capital, both for the kids and for the organization.
Right.
What a proposal. You would think they would have taken it and run with it. They sank it. I was so disappointed. So change is hard. Change is hard.
It is.
You know, and it takes visionaries to see what is possible.
Absolutely.
Okay? And those are the challenges I think the city has.
I agree with that. It does. And, you know, I always tell people when we talk about change, think about how hard it is for you to change something about yourself. And when you're trying to talk other people about changing things in their lives, man, some people just don't see it. And you get so comfortable in your surroundings that you can't see outside of that box.
Right.
And obviously, just like I said, you're a person who thinks big and thinks outside the box. You know, Ephraim, I have many other questions that I want to ask you that I know is going to take another full hour. So I would love for you to come back on for part 2 if you would do that.
Definitely. I'd be
glad. I would love that. How can people follow you on social media?
Well, I'm going to let Eli, that's this question. Eli, how do they follow me on social media?
Naked Truth Art Project, Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, awesome. Naked Truth Art Project on Instagram and Facebook.
And then the website is nakedtruthartproject.com.
Okay, nakedtruthartproject.com. Yeah. So we will have Ephraim back on for part 2 because, like I said, I have many other questions and things I want to talk about. This has been such a great conversation. It's definitely, you know, when you talk about divine intervention, but your perseverance, your desire, your determination, and probably one of the most important things that I always recognize in good people is their heart has gotten you where you are today. So this has been wonderful. I look forward to having you back on soon, and I appreciate your time today.
And when you have some time, come to the gallery. I'll be glad to meet you in person.
I would love that. Okay. Seriously. All right. I would love that. Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a book signed for you. Because we published a book called The Naked Truth Art Project. Okay. And people can find that online or they can come to the gallery to get it. But I have one that I will sign autograph for you. Okay.
Awesome. And we'll talk more about the book and that project more on part 2. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay. Bye.